One day, Elon Musk noticed a 4-year-old girl on the metro, and his next action brought tears to everyone's eyes. Elon Musk was used to fast-paced travel, but today was different. Moving at a relaxed pace, he wandered through a dimly lit metro station, attempting to blend in as much as someone like him could. He didn't have a specific reason for being there. Sometimes, Elon liked to escape his world of rockets, electric cars, and technology to reconnect with everyday life. While he was accustomed to luxury cars and private jets, the metro offered a unique experience, a chance to be among regular people without the usual spotlight. As he observed the people around him, it wasn't just another scene of commuters hustling through their day. To Elon, each face carried a story. He saw a young mother struggling to comfort her crying baby while juggling her bags, a group of teenagers laughing over something funny on a phone, an elderly man sitting silently, perhaps lost in memories. It was a blend of emotions, dreams, and lives briefly intersecting on this platform. Here, among strangers, Elon felt the true essence of humanity, the daily struggles and simple joys that make life meaningful. For a man whose mind often raced toward the future, buzz, AI, and self-driving cars, this experience reminded him what truly mattered. People. Deep in thought, Elon almost missed his train but didn't mind. He continued walking along the platform, taking in the sights and sounds around him. He noticed graffiti on the walls, ads plastered everywhere, and the occasional musician playing for spare change. It was a gritty world, far from the polished lines of his Tesla factories or SpaceX launch pads, but it was authentic. After a few minutes, Elon spotted a young girl, about 4 years old, standing alone in the busy metro. What he did next left everyone around in awe. She looked inane and out of place among the crowd, her big, curious eyes scanning her surroundings as if looking for someone. Elon felt a twinge of worry. Something seemed off. At first, he assumed her parents must be nearby. He looked around, expecting to spot someone watching over her, maybe a parent momentarily distracted. But as he scanned the area, it became clear no one was paying attention to the little girl. People walked by, unaware of the lone child, and she seemed more and more anxious. Elon felt a deep concern, realizing how easily situations like these could go unnoticed, how quickly people could overlook what was right in front of them. Without hesitation, Elon walked toward the little girl, his steps purposeful yet gentle. He knew that a grown man approaching a child could easily be misinterpreted, so he kept his movements slow and calm, careful not to alarm her. As he drew nearer, he noticed how tightly she clutched a small, worn-out bunny with floppy ears, her lifeline in this overwhelming moment. Her tiny fingers held it so tightly, her knuckles white with the pressure. When he was just a few steps away, Elon knelt down to her level, hoping to appear less intimidating. He softened his expression and gave her a warm smile. "Hey there," he said softly, his voice calm and reassuring. The girl looked up, startled at first, her breath catching as their eyes met. Despite the initial shock, she stayed still, her small body trembling slightly. Tears glistened in her eyes, but they didn't fall. Her face was a quiet picture of uncertainty. She gripped the bunny even tighter, as though it were the only thing anchoring her in this strange world. Elon watched her closely, noticing the shallow rise and fall of her little chest, the way her tiny fingers curled around the stuffed toy. In that moment, he saw the delicate balance of fear and hope in her expression. The space between them felt heavy with an unspoken understanding. He knew children could be naturally wary of strangers, and he didn't want to frighten her further or rush her into a response. Taking a step back, Elon lowered himself to her level again, trying to seem less imposing. His heart ached seeing the confusion and fear in her eyes, the innocence of her youth weighed down by the realization that she was lost. She was trying to process everything, the strange surroundings, his unexpected presence, and the fact that she was all alone. It was a lot for such a small person to bear. Elon's instinct was to reassure her, to make her feel safe again. He gave her a few moments to adjust, making sure his body language was soft and unthreatening. Rather than crowding her, he kept his distance, smiling gently and speaking in a low, comforting voice. "Hey there," he said again, barely above a whisper, hoping to bring some calm. The girl continued to stare at him, her eyes flicking between his face and the crowd around them. She didn't speak, but her grip on the bunny tightened even more. It was clear the toy gave her some comfort, a small source of courage. She stepped back slightly, glancing at the ground, but the mix of worry and hesitation in her expression didn't escape Elon. He understood that she was scared and unsure. She was lost in a busy place, and he was a stranger. "Are you lost?" he asked gently, his voice simple and kind. He didn't make any sudden moves but waited, staying at her level, patient and calm. After a moment's pause, the girl looked up at him again and nodded slowly. Elon noticed how her hand gripped the bunny even more tightly. A wave of sadness washed over him. She seemed so small, so alone in the hustle of the metro, like a fragile flower caught in a storm. He could see the fear in her eyes, the way she held back tears, trying to be brave. It reminded him of adults he had met, people who struggled to stay strong in the face of fear. In that moment, Elon realized that this little girl, despite being only 4, was trying to handle a situation that was far too big for her. She wasn't just a child lost in a metro station. She was someone doing her best to keep it together in a world that felt overwhelming. Elon took a slow, steady breath, letting the girl know he wasn't rushing her. He wanted her to feel safe enough to trust him, so he kept his voice calm and soothing. Then, in a simple, reassuring gesture, he held out his arms, silently offering a hug. He didn't move closer. He stayed right where he was, giving her the freedom to come to him on her own. He understood that forcing a scared child into anything would only make her more frightened. It had to be her choice. For a moment, the girl hesitated. She glanced between Elon's outstretched arms and her bunny, her face showing the confusion and fear she was feeling. She didn't know if she could trust this stranger, but the warmth in Elon's eyes, the kindness in his expression, seemed to ease her fear. After a few seconds, she took a tentative step forward, then another. Finally, she walked into his arms, and her tiny body relaxed as she felt the safety of his embrace. The fear began to melt away. Elon gently wrapped his arms around her, feeling her small body tremble as she held onto him. He responded with a comforting, steady grip that assured her she was safe. There were no words needed in that moment. All that mattered was her feeling of security. As she relaxed into his embrace, Elon noticed her breathing slow down, the tension leaving her shoulders as she found comfort in his arms. Her small hands wrapped around his neck, and he could feel her trust grow with every passing second. In that moment, nothing else in the world mattered. It didn't matter who he was, what he had accomplished, or the countless responsibilities waiting for him. All that mattered was this little girl, once alone and scared, now finding solace in his arms. Elon's mind, usually full of ambitious plans and complex ideas, was quiet. There were no thoughts of projects, no numbers to calculate, just a simple, pure connection between two people. It reminded him of why he worked so hard to create a better, safer world for everyone, especially people like her, who just wanted to be safe and loved. After a few moments, the girl slowly pulled back, loosening her grip on him and looking up with a new, trusting expression. Elon smiled down at her, maintaining his gentle, open posture. "Do you know where your mummy or daddy is?" he asked softly, wanting to help her without overwhelming her. She nodded but didn't speak. Instead, she lifted her small hand and pointed toward the far end of the platform. Elon followed her gaze and saw a woman in the distance frantically searching with a worried expression. Her face was pale, her movements quick and anxious, as if she had only just realized her daughter was missing. Relief flooded Elon as he recognized the look of a parent desperate to find their child. He looked back at the girl and gave her a warm smile. "I think I see your mum. Should we go find her?" The girl nodded again, this time with a small, shy smile breaking through her fear. Elon gently took her hand and led her through the crowd toward the woman. He kept his pace slow and steady, making sure the girl felt secure beside him. His grip warm but light. As they approached, the woman spotted them, and her face lit up with an overwhelming mix of relief, joy, and gratitude. She rushed over, her arms already outstretched, her emotions overflowing. When she reached them, she pulled her daughter into her arms, holding her tightly, as if she would never let go again. "Oh, thank you. Thank you so much," the woman said, her voice choked with emotion as she looked at Elon, her eyes filled with tears of gratitude. "I don't know what I would have done if—" "Thank you." Elon gave a small, understanding nod, brushing off her thanks with a modest wave of his hand. To him, it wasn't anything special, just something anyone would do. He looked down at the little girl, now safe in her mother's arms, her relieved smile replacing the fear that had been there moments before. Gently, he patted the girl's head, offering her one last reassuring smile before stepping back to let them fully reunite. As he turned to leave, Elon couldn't resist a final glance. He saw the mother hugging her daughter tightly, her eyes closed, as if savouring the reunion. The little girl looked up at her mother with a newfound trust, her earlier fear now replaced with a calm sense of peace. It was a quiet, tender moment amidst the chaos of the metro, a poignant reminder of what truly mattered. With a light heart, Elon walked away, feeling the warmth of knowing he had made a difference in that little girl's life. For Elon, whose mind was often preoccupied with technology, innovation, and the future, this simple act of kindness grounded him. It reminded him that his work wasn't just about making groundbreaking discoveries or reaching technical milestones. It was about creating a safer, better world. And sometimes that meant showing up for the small moments, the quiet gestures, where a single act of compassion could mean everything to someone else. As he left the metro station, Elon found himself smiling. This brief experience had left a deeper impact on him than he had expected. It was a quiet reminder that even in a world driven by big ambitions and complex goals, human connection was at the heart of everything. It was the true purpose behind every project and invention. He didn't know if the mother or daughter would ever remember him or recognize him if they saw him again, but it didn't matter. What mattered was that for that moment he had helped them, and that was enough. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.